Hi, everyone. Derek Beckwith from Demand Science here, and welcome to episode number 4 of our Supercharge Your Channel Marketing video series. Today, we'll be talking about amplifying your channel marketing efforts with a combination of content syndication and display advertising. And once again, to lead us through this discussion will be our top channel marketing expert, Jason Carrier. Jason, welcome.
Thanks, Derek. Great to be back for episode number 4. I look forward to a robust conversation this morning.
Yeah, and well, today, and I'll just talk a little bit about something I was reading over the weekend, which I think goes to how difficult it is out there for, B2B sales in particular, but I think B2B channel marketing efforts. And, Gartner recently came out with a report that talked about the fact that there are now at least 6 or more at most organizations decision makers in the buying process, and that those folks spend 95% of their time researching online, saving only 5% of their time for actual interaction with sales representatives. And this is a big challenge that all of marketing feels, but especially I think the channel marketing groups that we serve and are out there. So maybe you could just talk about that for a few minutes, what this challenge means.
Yeah, it's great in terms of as a topic. So it's been a big challenge for a number of years. I think during COVID, obviously, with the rapid acceleration towards more digital, towards fewer hand raisers in terms of from at least engaging with vendors, tech brands, and or channel partners, early in the conversation, or at least in their own research and discovery. What we've seen in terms of the buying committee, as obviously you scale up in an organization as far as 1,000 plus employees, 2,500 plus employees, 5,000 plus employees, what you have is a very diverse, very large, oftentimes multi-segmented buying group or buying committee. And it's not just IT pros, it's procurement, it's folks who deploy assets within organizations, or even individuals who are on a global basis. So the challenge really, I think, for any marketing organization today, whether it's an 80% sort of stealth mode journey or 95% stealth mode journey before an IT pro or an IT pro buying committee actually starts raising a hand, is getting in front of individuals as early as possible, and also not being so limited as far as in your own thinking about who specifically is your ideal client profile. Because if you do that, you're going to narrow your own opportunities to build robust pipeline over the course of an accelerated period of time. And so what we've seen here at Demand Science in particular is the engaging in the buying committee early, often, and in a very diverse, larger, sort of frame of reference or viewpoint is really one of the key benefits that we're going to offer channel marketers and tech brands overall.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking about one of the approaches is to do a multi-channel approach effort, combining both content syndication and display advertising. So to start us off in that element of our discussion today, maybe you could talk briefly about each of them separately. Content syndication first.
Sure. So content syndication really is an opportunity, once again, as I like to put it, sort of bait the hook with the right, most attractive bait in terms of using a fishing analogy, right? So the opportunity there is, from content syndication standpoint, to be very specific around who your ideal client profile is, not just regionally, geographically, what sort of titles do you want, what sort of companies would you want to go after. But really the content syndication opportunity goes back to the Gartner data and other data in the marketplace, where the vast majority of the buying journey really is done sort of digitally, and perhaps a little bit on a social mode as well, just IT pros talking to each other, behind the scenes, so to speak. So content syndication really is demand generation at the end of the day, or lead generation, but it's done at scale, at high velocity, and then it's also done from a very efficient or effective manner. And the differences in content syndication as far as providers is significant. If you're working with a marketing technology firm today that primarily uses third-party data and not first-party data like Demand Science, really you're giving away the keys of your own kingdom in terms of from a program standpoint, where you really don't know where the data is coming from. And the big benefit with a Demand Science from a content syndication standpoint is that we actually have our own data factory today. And that data factory is people-based, It's using artificial intelligence, machine learning, and it's a highly rigorous QA process as well that's embedded within the data factory. So you know what you're going to get as far as good information, and more importantly, good contact information when those leads start coming through. So display advertising, many partners, marketing technology firms out there only offer potentially one or the other. Demand Science is unique. We actually offer both. And not only do we offer both in terms of the content syndication being a fixed cost, right? Because we actually guarantee a cost per lead CPL, but more importantly there, in terms of utilizing the data, the data factory, the robust targeting and engine that we have. The big key differentiator for us in regards to display advertising is using the same taxonomy, the same persona targeting, but being able to do it at scale at a very relatively inexpensive cost when it really comes down to the dollars and cents. And the display advertising for us in particular is so valuable because that leads right into the content syndication. So a lot of our customers today will actually run display advertising in advance of doing a content syndication program to kind of warm up an audience. And the reason there is simple. You have to get visibility. You have to get some sort of buy-in early on as far as engagement with your content before you can ask them for a specific, lead form to be filled out, right? So the fact that you can do that through Demand Science at scale and at high velocity is really critical in terms of being able to drive your solutions to the marketplace beyond just, simply doing things from an organic or social standpoint.
Mm-hmm. And so, well, now you've touched on them a little bit together already, but let's really focus on the way they amplify each other when you use both as part of the multi-channel approach. Do we see the same results if we have a customer, for example, that's just doing only content syndication or only display advertising? What do we see when we have a customer that's doing both? And I'm not necessarily asking you to promo and sell us, but what happens dynamically, whether it's us or anyone else that's doing both of those from the vendor perspective?
Well, I would like to say a lot of our clients, oftentimes, they might be more of in a rush, so to speak, in terms of to get a market program to market. In content syndication, we could stand up in less than 10 days from the signing of a contract if we have the right assets and collateral. Same thing with a ABM or a display program, whether it's ABM or not. But ultimately what we try to do in terms of from a client recommendation standpoint is leverage the display advertising as sort of a precursor and appetizer to the entree. Now, the interesting part there is you're going to have more robust targeting, you're going to have higher levels of engagement, and ultimately you're going to have more qualified pipeline. Because if someone is more familiar with in terms of the value that you provide to them, in particular from a B2B standpoint, it doesn't really take a big leap of logic there, so to speak, to realize that at the end of the day, you're getting someone that's more engaged, more in tune, and then is going to be able to lean in even further around potentially even having a shorter sales cycle. So what we've seen and heard from our clients is not only do they like the ABM display or the display products that we offer, period, but more importantly is it helps them get to a more qualified opportunity to nurture. And those sequences aren't as necessarily as long in terms of from an engagement standpoint. And anything that you can do today, especially the highly competitive nature in terms of within the IT world, we're speaking in 2024, but anything that you could do today to basically shorten your sales cycle is huge, especially from a channel standpoint, where oftentimes channel partners have hundreds of brands that they could sell, thousands of different types of solutions. And being able to shorten sales cycle is going to be critical in terms of building scale. So from a display standpoint, and these are things that I've discussed not just here, but over my career, but from a display standpoint in particular, when you're a tech brand, if you're an AWS, if you're a Salesforce or a Dell as an example, you have a very large, diverse set of partners, everything from a 2 or 3 person, MSP, managed service provider, up to Accenture, Deloitte, PwC, and global systems integrators. So one of the things that we could do with display in particular is if you're a tech brand is in essence sort of thread the needle around a program whereby you can use our targeting today in essence to communicate with your partners. And I'll give you an example. We have newsletters that tech brands send out today. We have, field events that tech brands run in terms of engagement within different cities. There's all these different ways of communicating in terms of from a social platform standpoint. But one of the things that we've done over the last 7-8 months that I've been here is starting to pick up conversations and even some opportunities with tech brands to utilize demand science in particular to go out and target personas within an Accenture, within a CDW, within an SHI. Because what we have, the taxonomy on our side, we have clear, crisp content that the tech brand is producing. And if you have a new product launch, or if you have a migration, or potentially if you have an acquisition or sale of your company and a new company takes over, hence like VMware, for instance, you can leverage us to basically get the new message and the new criteria out in the marketplace from a persona targeting standpoint. So this is really significant. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it would be not just marketing to your partners, but marketing through your partners. So we have a cybersecurity company today that has a specific solution with a very large telecommunications company. Both are household names. But what we've been able to do in particular is take a co-branded message around how the product should be sold, what sort of the target audience, what potentially a landing page might have on it in terms of being able to drive traffic back to. But once again, targeting partnerships, targeting personas, and being able to thread that needle through our own data. So not only can you use demand science as a demand gen engine for end users, but now more importantly, I think, you could also use demand science as a key component of your own channel sales and marketing enablement.
And so you're seeing engagement in these type of approaches where both content syndication and display advertising, you're seeing engagement on both of those channels that are feeding into
Absolutely.
meet the need. Okay.
Absolutely. Right. And it's also good for recruitment of VARs, MSPs, and others. So every channel organization today has KPIs around the number of partners that they need to service or the number of new partners that they need to, accelerate to market. And that's another big benefit that demand science offers. So let us be that fishing net, so to speak, where we can, cast the net and make sure that we're bringing in the right VARs, MSPs, and other resellers so you can maximize your own revenues.
Mm-hmm. So going back to your bait the hook example, I think you were talking about content syndication. Would display advertising be the trawler that has wide nets out there in the ocean? So
for sure. Yep. Yeah. And the chum, in essence, in terms of being able to leverage and get the right fish to bite is basically, the bait, right? So it's your content, which we can even help with as well as far as designing, formatting, from a relative standpoint. But yeah, the trawler is there, the bait's there. Once again, think about demand science, not just as a lead gen partner, not just as a display partner in terms of from marketing technology, but think of us as an opportunity to engage, support, enlist, and have a long-term relationship with your channel partners through our solutions. And once again, this all comes back to the data. If you don't have good targeting, if you don't have good data, if you have a marketing technology solution provider today that only offers content syndication but not display, or vice versa, you're not getting the full value or maximizing your own marketing, period.
Well, you read my mind because I was just about to ask you about data-driven targeting. And I know that you touched on it earlier in terms of, identifying the right people in the right audiences and such. You also mentioned first party, third party. Maybe you could spend 30 seconds just sort of clarifying a little bit for folks what our perspective is on data-driven targeting in this type of scenario.
For sure. So data-driven targeting for us is really about an ideal client profile or even an ideal partner profile. And it's leveraging the data that we have as far as from a first-party standpoint and the robust QA process that we have in terms of quality assurance, quality control. And the way I look at in terms of, the data that we have and the targeting that we have from a capability standpoint is you could call it, shrinking the haystack or finding the needle in the haystack. But in essence, the more that you know about your end user in terms of, or someone that you want to engage with within a buying committee, for instance, you literally could have different assets running over a course of different campaigns for procurement, for IT, for deployment for individuals who might be working in the CFO office, as an example, in terms of from a financial standpoint. So you can get very sophisticated around how you engage with your buying committee by utilizing demand science, our data, our taxonomy, and then being able to take that information across the 240 million reach that we have globally as far as our audience, and then being able, once again, to work and interact with us around leveraging the millions of companies that we have in our database. And that's significant, because if you don't have the reach and the scale, then you're limiting as well as far as different technology partners that you might have on your short list.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the other side of the data coin, so to speak, is the ability to get metrics, measurable metrics, to provide some vision into what many find as sort of invisible to them in terms of how well the campaigns are doing, that sort of thing.
Yep, absolutely. And reporting biweekly, syncs, account reviews occur with our CX team. That's all, once again, part of the price. We're not necessarily, offering that incrementally, or there's a different price to it. So the fact that you get a really robust reporting, you get a robust CX organization that is, customer facing, for instance, that will work with you on setting up the landing pages, work with you specifically on even like the firmographics. So we have technographic information around install data. One of the things that we're doing recently with some of our clients is, how do we do competitive takeout programs? So if you're running SAP, IBM, and Oracle as a solution set as far as software, we're able to target around different install data within our own database. And that is just another level of criteria as far as being able really to thread the needle around developing a program that not just focuses on the ideal client profile from who Jason is or who Derek is, but more importantly, if we have install data, then it becomes highly relevant, because now you kind of know a little bit about me as far as what I'm running in my organization.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yep. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in a short period of time here. So what's next? What should be top of mind for channel marketers right now?
Yep. So look, I'm on LinkedIn. You can engage with me. You can reach out. We have our own microsite within on-demand science. You can visit today, channel marketing. You can find out more details. Stay tuned to these series. It's really important to kind of plug yourself in. We have a lot of social posts coming up, a lot of great content, for instance, that you can engage with as well. But if you're interested in learning more about how demand science can support not just you as a channel marketer, but your partner ecosystem, let's have a conversation. Reach out to me. I will get involved in terms of, being able to do a consult for you as well, and be able to talk through some of these things at a very detailed level, specific to your industry and your vertical market.
Oh, wonderful. And I know that thanks to the people behind the scenes, your contact information is at the bottom of the screen here. So everyone take note. You can visit our website, as Jason talked about, and we'll see you soon for episode 5.
That's right.
And in the meantime, good luck out there.